Welcome to The Explainer. If you've ever looked at your bank account and felt like your cash is just sitting around, totally slacking off and not pulling its weight, well, you are in exactly the right place. Okay, let's dive into this. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating blueprint. We're going to talk about transforming static, idle money into kinetic, automated wealth. We're looking at a system called the high-yield liquidity loop strategy. It's essentially a precise, highly tactical approach to cash management that completely rethinks how and, more importantly, where our money lives. To build this automated financial machine piece by piece, here is our blueprint for today. We'll start with the static savings trap, then move into multi-state architecture, followed by the automated liquidity chain, algorithmic rebalancing, and finally, scaling the interest loop. So starting right off with Section 1, the static savings trap, and breaking the old model of idle capital. Before we can build this new machine, we really have to understand the massive flaw in the old one. If you're keeping your money parked in traditional, big-name national brand banks, it's secretly costing you thousands in lost interest every single year. It's crazy. That standard legacy model just leaves your capital completely idle. It earns lower returns because, frankly, those banking giants just don't have to compete for your deposits. But pivot over to the aggressive, digital-only regional hubs that are absolutely dominating the Q3 2026 market, and it's a whole different story. Here, capital is kinetic. It moves, it works, and it aggressively chases maximum yield. And this brilliantly illustrates the real stakes right now. 2%. Ask yourself, what could an extra 2% do for your portfolio today? Because right now, aggressive regional banks in specific states are offering rates a full 2% higher than the 2026 national average. That is not just a rounding error. That is a massive, massive gap in wealth generation that you're totally missing out on if your money is just resting in a standard national bank. The secret to accessing that extra 2% comes down to a concept called geographical arbitrage. Now, I know that might sound a little intimidating, but it simply means leveraging regional economic disparities to access highly lucrative local bank incentives and doing it from literally anywhere in the country. And honestly, here's the best part. It completely destroys the long-held myth that securing a high yield means you have to lock your cash up in illiquid long-term CDs or bonds. You absolutely do not have to freeze your money to grow it. Moving into Section 2, multi-state banking architecture, where we start laying the physical foundation. To lay down the structural plumbing for this multi-state loop, we follow a very specific three-step checklist. Step 1, we use virtual residency filters. This is exactly how you bypass the system to access local-only rates no matter what your actual zip code is. Step 2, we identify and target the specific digital-only regional hubs that are being the most aggressive right now in this Q3 2026 market. And Step 3, we select 3 non-correlated financial institutions. We want 3 distinctly different banks so that our foundation is totally stable, diversified, and primed for the next phase. Which brings us to Section 3, the automated liquidity chain, or installing the automated payment rails. You know how standard ACH transfers notoriously trap your money in transit for days, basically forcing your capital to sit completely idle? Yeah, we fixed that here by mapping the flow of funds using 3 key strategies. First off, we bypass those common liquidity traps by layering account tiers. Second, because of exactly how we layer these tiers, you maintain instant access to 100% of your principal. Seriously, 0 lockups. And third, we utilize real-time payment rails. This creates a beautifully frictionless system where your money moves instantly, right when it needs to. When you synchronize these real-time rails, you create a loop that allows you to start harvesting interest daily rather than monthly. That is a direct quote from the strategy, and it is the absolute beating heart of this entire system. You are literally taking a sluggish, once-a-month payout and turning it into an aggressive daily wealth generation engine. Every single day, your capital is working, moving, and compounding. Let's jump to Section 4, algorithmic rebalancing strategies, which is all about flipping the switch on the machine. Now, what's really interesting about this concept is the precise trigger point right in the center of the strategy, 0.25%. So we've got the hub selected, the rails are laid, and now we let automated tools track rate fluctuations across the digital landscape in real time. The algorithmic systems are programmed to automatically trigger a transfer between your high-yield hubs the exact moment they can capture a 0.25% spread. The true beauty of this? It requires absolutely no manual oversight. The software sees the gap, uses your real-time rails, and grabs that higher yield instantly. This exact maneuver is what the strategy calls the aggressive pivot. It means moving capital instantly when regional economic shifts change local bank incentives. Honestly, think of it as the ultimate algorithmic cheat code. If a bank in Texas suddenly drops their rates, but a bank in Ohio raises theirs to attract new capital, your system executes an aggressive pivot, maximizing your yield the very second those regional incentives shift.
Let's move to and see how this builds in Section 5, scaling the interest loop and future-proofing the strategy.
To scale this thing safely over the long term, we really have to look at two strategy pillars side by side. On one hand, we have yield boosters, where we execute advanced tactics to integrate micro-yields right on top of our base loop, essentially squeezing out every single fraction of a percent. But on the other hand, we have strict risk management. So the crucial point is this. As your capital grows through these boosters, you absolutely must ensure all your virtual accounts strictly remain within federal insurance limits. It's a really careful, essential balance of the thrill of compounding and total, complete protection. Keeping that balance requires a bit of discipline. Long-term maintenance guarantees peak algorithmic performance ahead of upcoming economic shifts. Because look, markets evolved. Regional incentives are going to change. Maintaining the system over the long haul, updating those non-correlated hubs, and keeping a close eye on your automated rails is what ultimately separates the static savers from the truly kinetic wealth builders. Which leaves us with this final, critical thought. Take a hard look at your own capital right now. Is your savings strategy really ready for the projected economic shifts of 2027? Are you still caught in that static savings trap? Or are you ready to build a dynamic, automated liquidity loop that aggressively increases yield? It's a whole new landscape out there, and the tools to build your own financial machine are right in front of you. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and happy building.